my hearing started to go. And I start to gradually at first and then more rapidly lose all the hearing in my left ear.
Jeez.
For fans of timeless folk rock and singer-songwriter legends, Paul Simon is a name that stands in a league of its own. He is known not only as a vocalist and guitarist, but as one of the most influential artists to emerge from the 1960s folk explosion and beyond. His greatest strength lies in his poetic songwriting and incredibly versatile voice, capable of shifting from intimate whispers and soaring harmonies to rhythmic, world-infused grooves filled with pure emotion. What makes him truly iconic is his ability to create timeless atmosphere and cultural bridges. In Simon and Garfunkel's legendary era, he shaped an entire generation with perfect harmonies and introspective depth. Then, through his groundbreaking solo work, especially the revolutionary Graceland, Paul unveiled a bolder, more adventurous side, blending African rhythms, global sounds, and fearless innovation that changed music forever. In this video, we dive deep into the many fascinating sides of Paul Simon, his character, incredible journey, and personal world he keeps away from the spotlight. Paul Frederick Simon was born on October 13, 1941, in Newark, New Jersey, to Hungarian Jewish parents. His father, Louis Simon, was a college professor and bass player. His mother, Belle Simon, was a teacher who always believed in him. When Paul was 4, the family moved to Kew Gardens Hills in Queens, New York. He grew up there with his younger brother, Eddie. At age 11, in 6th grade, Paul met Art Garfunkel during a school production of Alice in Wonderland. They became friends and started singing together, performing at school dances and recording songs. In 1957, under the fake names Tom and Jerry, they recorded a little doo-wop single called Hey Schoolgirl that cracked the Billboard charts at number 49. After a brief split for college, they reunited as Simon and Garfunkel, signed with Columbia in 1964, and released their first LP, Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. It consisted of 12 songs, but the album initially flopped. Then Paul headed to London's folk clubs, where he performed and wrote classics like Homeward Bound and I Am a Rock. Then came the moment that changed everything. Producer Tom Wilson, without telling the duo, took the acoustic track The Sound of Silence from their debut album, added electric bass, drums, and guitar, and re-released it as a single in late 1965. By early 1966, it exploded to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Simon was horrified when he first heard the new version, but the single's massive success drew him back to the US to reunite with Garfunkel. They released the album Sounds of Silence in 1966, their first major career breakthrough. From there, their momentum became unstoppable. 1966 as Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme delivered the 59th Street Bridge song, Feelin' Groovy, and Scarborough Fair. In 1967, Simon wrote Mrs. Robinson for Mike Nichols' groundbreaking film The Graduate. It became a cultural phenomenon, capturing the restlessness of youth, and won a Grammy. 1968's Bookends brought the epic America and the Boxer, songs so vivid they felt like short stories set to music. Then Simon and Garfunkel dropped their masterpiece, Bridge Over Troubled Water in 1970. The title track, with Garfunkel's angelic tenor soaring over Simon's gospel-inspired piano, spent 6 weeks at number 1. The album became one of the best-selling of all time, and swept the Grammys, including Album of the Year. But behind the perfect harmony, tension had been building. Creative differences and an uneven partnership led to their painful split right at the height of their fame. The breakup opened the door to Paul Simon's remarkable solo career. In 1972, his self-titled album Paul Simon introduced reggae fusion with the hit Mother and Child Reunion and the playful Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard. 1973's There Goes Rhymin' Simon gave us the sunny Kodachrome and the soulful Loves Me Like a Rock, proving Simon could blend genres without losing his poetic soul. Then came 1975's Still Crazy After All These Years, an introspective gem about midlife that earned him another Album of the Year Grammy. The number 1 single, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, became a cultural catchphrase. He even reunited briefly with Garfunkel on My Little Town. These albums kept Simon in the spotlight while carving his solo identity. But one of the most iconic moments in music history happened in 1981. Simon and Garfunkel reunited for a free concert in Central Park, New York. 500,000 people showed up, making it one of the largest free concerts ever. The live album sold millions, and reminded the world why their harmonies were legendary. By the mid-1980s, Simon's popularity had started to fade. Then came his boldest move yet. In 1985, he traveled to Johannesburg, South Africa, breaking the UN cultural boycott during apartheid. He fell in love with the local township music, and recorded with black South African artists, including Ladysmith Black Mambazo. The result was the 1986 album Graceland. It mixed his lyrics with South African rhythms, Zydeco, and gospel. Hits like You Can Call Me Al, with the famous Chevy Chase video, the title track, and Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes made it massive. Graceland sold over 14 million copies, won Album of the Year Grammy, and launched the world music era. He followed it with 1990's The Rhythm of the Saints, drawing from Brazilian rhythms for another acclaimed chapter. But as time went on, Simon never stopped evolving. He tried film, One Trick Pony in 1980, and Broadway, The Cape Man in 1997, a commercial flop but artistically daring. His later albums like You're the One in 2000, Surprise in 2006, So Beautiful or So What in 2011, Stranger to Stranger in 2016, In the Blue Light in 2018, and the intimate 2023 masterpiece Seven Psalms, continued to show his genius and talent. After decades of hard work, Simon's achievements speak for themselves. 16 Grammy Awards, including 3 Album of the Year, Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1982, 2 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions, as a duo in 1990 and solo in 2001. Kennedy Center Honors in 2002, the Library of Congress Gershwin Prize in 2007, and ranked 8th on Rolling Stone's list of the 100 greatest songwriters of all time. But all that genius also built something else. Something measured in hundreds of millions. Today, Paul Simon's net worth is estimated at approximately $200 million, a fortune that reflects 6 decades of pure craft and smart decisions. The biggest single payday came in 2021. Paul sold his entire songwriting catalog, hundreds of timeless compositions, from The Sound of Silence and Bridge Over Troubled Water all the way through Graceland and beyond, to Sony Music Publishing for a staggering $250 million. It was one of the largest music publishing deals in history. Then in 2023, he sold a substantial stake in his artist royalties and neighboring rights from the Simon and Garfunkel recordings to BMG in another major 8-figure deal. These weren't desperate cash-outs, they were thoughtful moves to secure his family's future, while keeping the music alive for generations. Beyond those landmark sales, Paul's income has flowed steadily from the classics, royalties from billions of streams and radio plays, licensing in films and commercials, plus smart, low-key investments. But success at that level always comes with a personal cost. And Paul Simon's story of love, loss, and family is just as rich as his music. His first marriage was to Peggy Harper in 1969. They welcomed their son Harper in 1972. But the marriage ended in 1975, and that painful split inspired one of his biggest solo hits, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Next came one of the most talked about romances in entertainment, his on and off relationship with actress Carrie Fisher. They married in 1983 and divorced just a year later in 1984. Even after the split, their connection lingered for over a decade. But in 1992, Paul found his true anchor. He married singer-songwriter Edie Brickell, and this time it stuck. They've now been together for more than 33 years and have 3 children, Adrian born in 1992, Lulu born in 1995, and Gabriel born in 1998. All 4 of Paul's kids have grown into creative adults, with several pursuing music like their parents. Today, Paul peacefully spends his time with his family, and his lifestyle is a perfect reflection of the man himself. He's a passionate guitarist and collector of fine instruments. Over the decades, he's built an impressive collection of acoustic and electric guitars, many custom-made or vintage pieces tied to his recording sessions. Paul is also a dedicated philanthropist. He co-founded the Children's Health Fund in 1987 with Dr. Erwin Redliner, providing mobile medical care to disadvantaged children across the U.S. He has raised millions for causes including environmental conservation, autism research, and disaster relief, turning his success into real-world impact. And those quiet luxuries are beautifully housed in the places he's called home. Today, Paul's primary haven is his oceanfront compound in Montauk, New York, right at the edge of Long Island, where the Atlantic meets the sky. This serene property sits on roughly 7.5 acres of dramatic bluffland with breathtaking views. The main house and outbuildings offer about 4,700 square feet of living space, with multiple bedrooms and a layout, perfect for quiet days of writing and walking the cliffs. Before Montauk, Paul and Edie raised their 3 children, on a beautiful 32-acre countryside estate in New Canaan, Connecticut. They purchased the 1938 Georgian-style home in 2002 for about $16.5 million. It featured over 8,500 square feet, a private recording studio, formal gardens, a pond, and rolling meadows. But they sold it in 2022 to Richard Gere for $10.8 million, a move that let them simplify while holding on to what truly mattered. He has also kept a presence in New York City, including a duplex on the Upper West Side with Central Park views. And just like his homes, Paul's approach to cars has always stayed refreshingly grounded. At the peak of his fame, he bought a classic 1972 Toyota Corona RT81 sedan, a beautiful orange car that he still uses today for drives with his loved ones. Recently, he bought a Mercedes-Benz V-Class, which he often uses for trips with luggage. Paul has publicly revealed only a few cars, but he's often seen in luxury vehicles like BMWs and SUVs. In the end, Paul Simon proves that true luxury isn't always about what you drive, it's about how freely you can move through a life you've built on your own terms. Today, Paul Simon is 84 years old and still active. After announcing his retirement from big tours in 2018 due to hearing loss, many thought his stage days were over. But in 2025, something beautiful happened. His hearing in his left ear began to return. He worked with doctors at Stanford's initiative to cure hearing loss, developed a special in-ear monitor system, and launched the deeply personal A Quiet Celebration Tour, a series of intimate shows that sold out across North America. The tour blended his Grammy-nominated 2023 album Seven Psalms in its entirety with timeless hits. His wife Edie Brickell joined him on stage for vocals and guitar, turning every performance into a family affair. Fans watched in awe as the legend made his comeback. And the story isn't over. In December 2025, Paul announced European and UK dates for 2026. Then, on February 3rd, he added a full North American summer run. 20-plus shows kicking off June 4th in Palo Alto, California, sweeping through the Hollywood Bowl, Red Rocks, Toronto, Forest Hill Stadium and his beloved Queens, and wrapping at Ravinia outside Chicago on July 18th. The band is the same tight-knit group of musicians who've been with him for decades. No new album on the horizon just yet, but the message is crystal clear. At an age when most artists have stepped back, Paul Simon is still writing new chapters, and the roar of a grateful crowd. From a shy kid in Queens to a $200 million legend, whose songs still heal hearts 6 decades later, he never chased the spotlight, he simply kept writing truth. So, what's the one Paul Simon song that has lived inside your heart the longest? Just write the song title and describes how it makes you feel. And if Paul Simon's story inspired you, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another legendary life story.